welcome back to the Crochet Creatives with my friends at yarnspirations.com. Today is the mom version, the adult version for the Spring Mom and Me poncho. So I've already filmed the baby version, and both of those versions will be available on YouTube at some point, and one will get released before the other because of the way the YouTube operations work. So you're going to need a 5mm size H crochet hook today, and this here is made up of Red Heart Super Saver Ombre. The adult version here that you see here is called purple, and I used pink for the baby version to just have the border edging for top and bottom, and then on the baby version, when I did the baby version, I used that same pink to do it, and then I used the purple that was left over from the adult version. This is considered a fashion poncho, meaning that it's at the length of fashion, but you can go bigger if you want to, but you'll need to get more yarn of the purple, of the main color, if you would like to make it bigger, and that's something that you'll have to consider. So 16 inches is fashion size, up to 24 is around comfort or prayer shawl kind of poncho sizes. And so you're going to have this information. There has been a revision since this was released in February of 2022. I got a comment on it on the website that the corners were offset, and I'm like, well, why is that? So I'm filming today, and I realized that I miscounted some information, and though the diagrams were right, the actual information, there's been a few revisions. So happens, and let's begin. Let's take a look at the diagram next.
Welcome to my channel, and I'm here to inspire you, give you crochet advice, and help you along with your next project. If you enjoyed this pattern, please give me a thumbs up or even comment so I can gauge your interest. It helps me to know what to film next. I'm not very formal.
Just one more thing before I continue. I said it happens. That sounds very callous. I do make mistakes. I don't want to pretend that I'm ever perfect, because I'm far from it. So what we have here in the crochet diagram, you can see that we have the center of the neckline, and once we get beyond row number 3 and 4 is the repeat for the whole thing. You'll keep repeating 3 and 4 a total of 7 times, and then you'll do number 3 one more time before doing the edge. So the trick is that on round number 2, that's when we're going to establish the point, but on round number 1 we're just going to go around. I'm going to show you a trick on how not to twist your chain, and so let's just get right into it. Let's start our journey, and this is the mom version of the Crochet Spring poncho. So remember, even though it's a mom size, it is actually an adult size, so I just have it named for that, but you can decide what works for you. So let's begin our journey by just chaining 96, but let me show you a trick so that you don't end up with a twisted chain. So let's just do the first 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I want you to pull this off, and I want you to stick your hook into the first chain. It's right there. Make sure that this is not twisted in a weird way, and continue to count to 96. So I've already got 10 on there. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So by keeping it on the chain like this, you do not have to worry about it twisting, and go all the way to 96, and that's where I'll pick you up in just a moment for round number 1. I now have my 96 done, and I'm going to yarn over it, pull through that one and the first one here. This chain will not have twisted, and therefore we're going to start with round number 1 next. In round number 1, we're just going to concentrate on getting our single crochets in. So you're not going to worry about creating the point at this point. That was kind of an accident. So you're going to chain up 1, and in the same stitch that you've done the join with, on the back hump only of the chain, once you do the hump, it always will stay turned over, and I want you just to work on the back hump of the chain all the way around. And when you get all the way around, I want you to verify that there's still only 96 single crochets, because there's only 96 chains, and I'll pick you up at the end of this, and we've got to make sure that this chain is not, or this round is not twisting when we go to join it for the very first time, because if it's twisted at this point, when we go to attach it, it'll always stay twisted, and therefore will cause you a lot of grief and maybe some pretty rough comments here on YouTube. So make sure that it's not twisted, and I'll see you back here in a moment. So I now have my 96 I have just counted. I want you to pull on it, and I want you to verify that there is no twisting going on before you do the attaching. If it is twisted, just kind of just rotate it so that it's untwisted, and come back around. So it should look like a fan belt of a car. So when you pull it out, it should all still stay flat. And we're now going to move on to round number 2 where we're going to establish the points. Let's move on to round number 2. If you've not verified the count, I really strongly recommend that you do. Your point will be offset on one side versus the other if you do not have the right counts. So make sure that you do have your 96 in. You're going to chain 2, and in this pattern chain 2 does not count as a stitch, and in the same one of the join that's going to be 2 double crochet, and we're going to finish this point when we get back around. Now I'm not going to drag you through counting through 47 double crochets, so starting right where you are, just start counting and just apply 47 double crochets in a row. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and get 47 done, and I'll meet you back here in a second. So I now have 47 in here. I did double check just to make sure, because the point will be wrong if you don't. So the next stitch will be then the new point, so it'll be 2 double crochet and then chain 2 and 2 double crochet. So every time we do this particular project, all the corners will be the same, the points. 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. You should have a total of 47 more chains left before you get to the end, and if you're off by one, say maybe you have 46 instead of 47, just make sure that near the end you just put an extra stitch in there to get the balance back up to what it should be, because it really will matter. So finish your final 47 stitches with just a double crochet, and then I'll show you how to finish the beginning point that we started with. So I'm coming all the way back around. I have my 47 done. If you had an extra stitch left over, for example, I said that if you're short, just sew in an extra stitch just to put 2 into the same one to get your counts up. If you have an extra stitch left over, let's just say like I don't have the stitches left over, but let's just say that I had an extra chain that I had to do, or an extra single crochet. You can do a 2 together double crochet and get your counts back to 47 if you want to do it that way. It's going to be hardly noticeable, but that's something that you can decide for yourself. So in my case it's right, in your case it's probably right too. Now you're not quite done. Right where this is coming out of, this is going to be where you're going to do your final corner. So it'll be 2 double crochet, and then in this pattern I like a half double crochet join to the top of the first double crochet. This is the chain 2. Ignore it. It does not exist in your life. Just leave it there, and you're going to do a half double crochet to the top of that first double crochet, and you're going to finish it, and that was row number 2. So let's start row number 3 and 4, which will be the repeat patterns then for the remaining of this project. So now that we know where the points are, they're completely the opposite to each other and they're spaced right, you can just axe the counting, throw on the television and enjoy your life. So now you can just chain up 2, and that's not going to count as anything, so don't you dare count that, and you're going to put in 2 double crochet to start. The way that I see it in crochet is that when you chain 3 and then the next one is a double crochet, it always looks like hell. So I like to put in a chain 2 just to give it that filler so that it looks like it's actually decent. So this is the chain 2. Ignore it. It does not exist in your life, and you can see that these 2 are the first double crochets. So you start with just a double crochet in each of the stitches all the way around, except for that point that you'll come halfway around, and in the point I'll show you there, and I'll be there in a second, so just put me on pause and then I'll see you at the first point, at the halfway point. So continuing along, and I'm going to be hitting that point really soon, and I'm just double crocheting in each stitch, and in the point when I get there in a second, right there is going to be 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. How hard is that, right? So chain 2 and 2 double crochet. So just like that, clickety click, barber trick. Does anybody remember that Canadian show that we used to watch as kids? It was originally in French, Barber Papas, and it's kind of a fun thing. So now you're just going to continue along and double crochet then until you get back to where you started, and that's where I'll pick you up in just a moment. So continue along and put me on pause right now. So I'm coming back around, and I got the theme song with Barber Papa in my head. Thanks a lot. It's the story of Barber Papa. Da, 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 da. If you look it up on YouTube, you can actually find it, and actually it's a reflection of my childhood of living in a cottage and having only 2 television stations. I was just so amazed by the the cartoon itself because they could change shapes. So once you get back to the original here, you could just put 2 double crochet and then you have to slam in a half double crochet join to the top of the first double crochet, because remember the chain 2 that we build does not exist in our lives. It's just there. So let's begin number 4, and number 4 is when we apply texture. So 3 and 4 are your repeats. Let's try number 4. So let's start number 4. So chain 2, which does not exist in our lives, and in the same corner you're going to apply 2 double crochet. So the texture is applied on the first double crochet out of the box. This is a chain 2, don't include that. So you see the 2 there, those are your double crochets. Start in the first one and do a front post double crochet in there, and then the next stitch here is a double crochet. So you're alternating between the 2 stitches. So the next one here is a front post double crochet, the next one here is a double crochet, and you keep alternating those back and forth. And if your stitch counts are right, by the time you get to the other point, the very last stitch should be a front post double crochet, and if it's not, then something's wrong. Okay, that's when you have to call the frog in and say, oh my goodness, because I frog, I frog, I frog. Okay, so I'll see you at the next point in just a moment. So I'm coming close to the next point, and the very last one should just be a front post double crochet before the corner. So I'm going to tell you a story after we get this corner done. I'll get you kicked off, and if you can fast forward if you don't want to hear a story. But so your corners will be the same as 2 double crochet, and chain 2 and 2 double crochet. So when you start then the very first double crochet out from one of these corners, it should be a front post double crochet, and that's always gonna happen for you. Okay, so it's great. The amount of stitch counts that everything is growing by is 8. So don't email me and say, well, what's the stitch count at row number 20? You can count the number of rows. I provided you the counts. So the first count was 96, and then the next time the count is then 104, and then it was 108. It's always increasing by 8. So you can just count the number of rows and do the multiplications for that if you wish. So the very next stitch then should be a double crochet, and then it's a front post double crochet in the one after that. So you're gonna do that all the way back to the beginning. So as a child I grew up with some TV shows. We only had 2 TV shows as we lived in a cottage growing up for several years. And so anyway, we had TVO and I think a Wingham channel. Not that it really matters, but anyway, so I grew up with some television shows. Barbara Papa was definitely one of them. Today's Special, does anybody remember Today's Special? I loved that show where the mannequin Jeff Hislop would turn into a guy in the nighttime when all the store was closed, and you'd have Sam the security guy, Jody, and Muffy the mouse. So I absolutely adored that. Grew up with Polka Dot Door, the Polka Dot Door, the Polka Dot Door. And my favorite things on the Polka Dot Door was Dress Up Day. I loved Dress Up Day. So when it was something else I was like, oh my god, the horror. Loved that. And what other shows that I grew up with. So that was like in my early years of learning to, you know, just learning to be human. The worst show that I ever hated as a kid was Doctor Who. And the theme music as a child, and because Doctor Who was on, it was just absolutely terrifying the way that it was. And as a young child, just the look of Doctor Who just freaked me out with the robots and stuff. So in the music of hearing the original Doctor Who back in the 80s is actually a trigger point for fear for me. Isn't that ridiculous? So it's kind of funny how you grow up with certain things, and yeah. So that's kind of a little bit of a glimpse of my childhood. So not that you asked, but you might be interested to know that, you know, some of these TV shows that we watch as a kid. Sesame Street, who is my favorite characters? Guy Smiley. He was always a game show host guy. And then there was a blue character that would make sounds with his mouth, and they'd sound like the real thing, like a car or a horse or a cow, and I just thought it was the most remarkable thing that he could do that. You know, it's a puppet, but you don't realize it as a kid, and I just think it was great. So those are my 2 favorite characters from there. And in the human ones, I love Susan, and oh shoot, what was the other guy? I think he was Spanish. I really liked those. Susan, and I forget his name, was one of my favorites. Mr. Hooper for sure was in there. I really like Bob too. And those are the, what was that? Maybe you remember the other Spanish guy that kind of played with Susan. in the rolls there. It was really quite good. Big Bird, you know, Ernie, Bert and Ernie, you know, big deal. But and Elmo wasn't around when I was that young. So yeah, there you go. Now I've talked my way through a side. My closed captioning team is gonna get you like, Michael, shut up. So we're coming all the way back around. So hopefully you're still awake. Kind of gives you perspective on the people behind the camera. So if I'm coming all the way back, the last one here should be a front post double crochet. And then you have your point to figure out, so it's 2 double crochet and then a half double crochet joined to the top of the first double. Let's talk about your repeats, and we're gonna do that next because now you understand the pattern, well, at least hopefully. So what you have to do now is repeat rounds 3 and 4 a total of 7 more times. So 3 4 3 4 3 4 3 4 3 4 3 4 3 4. I think that's 7 times. So once you get those done, you need to finish on a 3rd round. So you got to do round number 3 one last time before you do the edge. And I just figured that it looks better that way. But if you like to change it, that's up to you. So I'm going to start round number 3 just one more time, and so that I can show you the edging in just a moment. So to start the repeat, you just again chain 2. You're just gonna double crochet twice in the same point. The chain 2 does not exist, and therefore you go into the first double crochet. That's a chain 2, so you're gonna ignore it and just continue just to double crochet now yourself all the way to the next point. The next point will be 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Enough with the stories today, and I'll see you back here when we get all the way around, and then I'll show you the edging in just a moment. So I'm coming all the way around and I want to finish the corner. This was round number 3 again. So you continue to round number 4 if you would like to build it out, of course, and then 3 and 4 and etc. But you want to finish on a number 3 in the end. So just join it with the half double crochet. So you can add a new color if you want to fasten off at this point and add a new color for the final trim. That's what we're going to do next, and I'll show you how to do the edging. So continue to go along and grow it out as big as you want, and let's do the final edge. If you are going to change the yarn and fastening off, you'll join it here on the back side, so right where all the other joins are, and that's where you're going to begin, and you'll just slip stitch to join chain 1 and then apply what I'm about to show you. Make sure that the right side is facing out. You can kind of tell where the texture is to be able to let you know where that is. So you'll chain 1 if you're not changing your yarn out, and just put in 3 single crochets into the corner. So the corners of this will always be 3 single crochets. Ignore this chain 2 because it doesn't exist in our lives, and continue then to apply 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way to the next corner. In the next corner, please do 3 single crochets and then continue along the side until you get back to where you are here. I don't think I need to show you how to single crochet 3 times into a corner because I just did it. So I'll see you at the end of this round in just a moment. So I'm coming back around and voila, clickety click, barber check. Okay, so coming all the way around, I've already handled the corner so I don't have to worry about that, and I'm just gonna slip stitch to the first one. Let me show you how to weave in the ends. So any ends that you have, do the same thing. I won't show you how to weave in the ends at the end of this video like I normally would, because I'll do it right here. Turn it to the back side. You can see the texture is different on the back, and then just grab a tapestry needle, and it is a wearable so you want to take your time. The best way to do this, and people have been commenting lately that this kind of thing is falling out, when you put it in, make sure that you are trying to separate some plies between each other. So if you sneak behind the stitches and just like literally go and not and just squeeze yourself between stitches, then that can just weasel its way out. But if you go and start splitting plies intentionally, it's much harder to get out. And even if you split the ply that you're using when you went through the first time, again, lock, 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 and it's much better. And you want to do this a total of 3 times, noticing that the hook never went to the other side. So you're just gonna pull through and then snip, voila. So let's do the collar trim next. It's the last thing to do today, and let's move on. Let's do our collar, and we're just going to apply some new yarn to your hook. Go to where you've been working with it on the back and keep the right side facing up, so towards you. And I'm just gonna pull that tighter, and we're not going to add any stitches to this, and I'm gonna put the straggler of the starting with it, and I'm just going to attach it, chain 1, and then we're gonna begin. So I leave the stragglers down on top so I can trap it in. So right where you joined it, single crochet, going right up over top of those 2 stragglers that you have. It saves you from sewing them in later. Take them about 2 inches, and you're just gonna single crochet yourself all the way around. Because I have been transitioning in the coloring of this yarn, this color will be a different color. And if you prefer something else, then use something else. It's up to you. And as soon as you have it buried enough, just kind of pull on it. You can snip it at this point if you prefer. You can throw it through your tapestry needle if you want to. It's up to you. You are the artist, right? So continue around, just single crocheting around the top trim here, and I'll be right back in a moment. And I'm gonna come right to the end. Bada boom, bada bang. I'm going to slip stitch to the very beginning, and that's the end of my story. So I've already shown you how to weave in your ends. So snip your yarn, grab your tapestry needle, turn it to the back side, go back and forth into the fibers a total of 3 times, and therefore this would be just the top of the color if you were gonna finish right now. But this will continue to build out, and let me just zoom you out here. This is the back side. You can see the transitioning is happening. You'll see that the transitioning happens much quicker in the steps because it is bigger versus the child version that we filmed earlier today. So this is kind of fun, and it is now April 2022, and today is a great day. It's actually Good Friday today. So here I am working. We'll see you again real soon. Bye bye.